back to another Highbury's Matter episode. Tonight we're going to keep the consistency going at a very high level because tonight I've got yet another fantastic guest. His name's Russell, and both of us will be mulling over all things Highbury from the 1970, 71 and 70, 72 seasons. Hold on a minute, I think I can hear some studs on the concrete. I'll speak to you in a minute.
To Martinelli, he's in the box, Gabriel Martinelli. It's now with Granit Xhaka. Is it going to be the third goal? It is the third goal. Granit Xhaka with it. That seals it.
Good evening, Russ. How you doing?
All right, mate. How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm afraid we don't have any warm-ups. There's no 5-minute warm-ups. We've got to kick off straight away. So
right. Can we skip off with the Liverpool game before we go into anything? The Liverpool game with the Tottenham game?
We've got to talk about the old times.
I'm still buzzing.
At the end, we might go a few years forward. But anyway, at the moment, what I want to know is, when did you first start supporting Arsenal and go to Highbury? And sometimes a question we always ask ourselves when things aren't going too well, why?
Well, it all started before my first home game, first team game. My grandpa used to go in the 30s, the 20s and the 30s. Wow. And then he met my grandma. Yeah, he met my grandma. And instead of going to football, she made him go shopping and do all them sort of things. So when I came along and I was at the right age, he thought, oh, there's an excuse. And he started dragging me along to reserve games. So one week we'd go to Arsenal reserves. And this is about 65, 66, 67 seasons, you know. 1 week Arsenal reserves when the Arsenal were away. And the next week, Tottenham reserves. He'd take me to Tottenham. And what we used to do, we used to go to the Arsenal reserves, obviously cheer for Arsenal. And we used to sit in the Paxton end of Tottenham, the Shelf side at Tottenham, and support the other team. He used to make me jump up and down. It was all women and children and old men there, but there was one old man who whacked my grandpa around the head in the end. Like, we don't want you here, right? Which was quite funny. But we kept going, and Arsenal at home, and we were going to Tottenham, and we got the bus from Leighton to Clapton. And when we went to Spurs reserves, we got the 149, I think it was, to White Hart Lane. And when we went to Arsenal, it was the 123 to Highbury. And Tottenham were playing Charlton. Their reserves were playing Charlton. And he said to me, why don't you bring your Arsenal scarf? Charlton playing red. We'd really wind those bastards up. Let's wear your Arsenal scarf. All right. So I put my Arsenal scarf on. And we got to Clapton and we were running. We saw 149. And I said, quickly, Grandpa, let's run. And we ran to get the one. And he wasn't running. And I'm like, come on, we're going to miss the game. He wasn't running. And we let the bus go. And we got to the bus stop and said, what's going on? And the 123 came and he goes, get your Arsenal scarf out. And we got on the bus and he took me to my first home game against Southampton for a surprise. Wow. And it was, going to the reserves games when there was a few hundred people there, sitting in the East Stand. And then it was a full house, walking in there. And I was always Arsenal anyway, but that was it's just unbelievable, and that was that, and that was it. And then a couple of weeks after that, there was an agent down in Fenchurch Street he used to go to, and we got the same seats for years in the Upper West. And he took me for years growing up, and that was that. I was in.
That was it. You got the bug, as they say. You can never change religion, can you? It's harder to change religion.
Oh no. It was always Arsenal because he bought me Arsenal hats and stuff. It was always Arsenal. I had pictures on my wall of Easton and all them players. I don't know these blokes on my wall.
Coming back to when you went, the 60s, late 60s or late 60s, you're probably talking about. There's rosettes, horrible hats, horrible rattles.
Yeah, I had a rat. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, if you were sitting next or standing near someone with a rattle and Arsenal scored you up the duck, otherwise
That's
you
right.
might lose your teeth. But
Yeah.
I mean, we all accepted all that. It was brilliant. You get minor lose your teeth, I suppose, if Arsenal scored, but that's another story. But no, that's great. I mean, I know that people used to go also Spurs. A lot of people used to go Spurs and Arsenal because it was a dumb thing, and you had to make a decision. And thankfully, you made the right decision.
Yeah, well, I would have no choice. Like I say, we used to go to Tottenham reserves and literally cheer the other team on. And when the other team, whoever it was, scored, we'd both jump up. And everyone would look at us.
Very brave.
Yeah, like I say, it was all old men and
what year was that, Russ? What year were you watching the Spurs reserves? What would that be?
So the first time, I should imagine I was about 67, 68. Yeah, 68 and then 60 into 69 because we did it for 3 years. In fact, a couple of times he took me to West Ham as well, reserves. He just didn't think I was old enough to go to the first team games. But it was good because it obviously wasn't like it is now. And going to the reserve games gave you a sort of insight of what was going on away from home because, you know, the old scoreboard at Highbury.
That's right.
So there was, in reserve games, they'd actually use that to show you what was happening in the away. So say we were playing, I don't know, I remember Blackpool once, you know, and they'd put the first one, Arsenal would be 1, Blackpool. And you could see, and everyone knew Arsenal would score. And occasionally there'd be some people there with radios, you know, and you could listen in to the commentary while watching the reserves. But I've got to say, the reserves were, it wasn't like it is now. The reserves were all the players that were coming up. So I was watching, you know, all these kids that were actually going to eventually, like Charlie George, for instance, he was in the reserves and
Sammy Nelson might have been in your team as well, watching Sammy.
they were all, they were, they were all in the reserves. I mean, I think Geordie Armstrong was a bit older than
he was in the team at 67. Geordie, he made a big name for himself by that time.
Yeah, but. Yeah, no, it was good fun. You know, it was a football game. And he got him out going shopping, so he was a happy man. And I got my sweets from the corner shop and, you know, jobs are good and it was great.
I used to go, when I first started going, my uncle and my father used to take me, there was a couple of uncles, but one in particular, and we used to get peanuts. We used to love the peanuts we used to sell outside the ground. They were my little treat wilderness. I used to love the peanuts. And over Christmas time or winter, there was always hot chestnuts. Remember them?
Yeah.
And no matter how, I never learnt my lesson. Hot chestnut, you don't stick straight in your mouth. You don't call it down a bit, but no. Never learnt my lesson. Put it in there, and I was like, get me out of here. But no, fantastic times.
It was everything about Highbury. The smell of the place,
yes.
You know, everything. There was just something, even the day we left, you know, it didn't matter how many years I went, how many games I went to, it didn't matter. It was always the same feeling. It was always that same smell, and it just had, you know, it was just everything to me. Highbury,
exactly. Everything. That's what this was all about. And also, Russ, it had in big letters class, in my opinion. Something classy about it, wasn't it?
Everything, like just. Everything about the place. It really was. I don't know any football fan that could go to Highbury and not support the Arsenal. It'd just be, you know, they would literally need to get the white coats in and take them away somewhere because that place. No, I mean the place was just, as far as I'm concerned, you know, that place was like life. And every time you've been, I think, especially as a kid, you know, especially as a kid going there. It meant it was very, very sweet. I started taking my son. And I remember the last game he went to was a Tottenham game before we left. And Spurs got a draw. We got a draw that day, the last season at Highbury. And he's walking up the stairs and he was crying his eyes out. I remember some bloke saying to him, do you know what? A point's not a bad... And he goes, I'm not worried about the scoreline. It's my last time here, because it was his last time. He never went to the last game.
Yeah. I've said this before. It's like you know, you go to this place. It's like a place of religion, really. It's like a church or a mosque or a synagogue. You know, that's how. But the only thing is, you don't go to that place to pray. You go there for your prayers to be answered. For your team to do well. That's the difference. But
enough throughout the years, you know, our prayers were answered. So that was all good.
Right. When you started watching the Arsenal first team, more than that, even 1970 or 69, 70?
Yeah, the first season, like I say, when we went to that game was the Southampton game in 69, the 69 game. And I was lucky enough, he got tickets. It was like a tout thing, but it didn't charge extra. It was in Fenchurch Street. So we got tickets for the final as well, the Anderlecht game, which was, you can imagine, like, do you know what I mean? I was
Different
10.
class, wasn't it? Different class.
You know, and we
What
were Lower
yeah.
East. Yeah, we were Lower East. And, you know, I mean, the Southampton, the first game was amazing. I'll never forget as I walked down the first time ever, the whole crowd on the North Bank, you know, the noise, I've never known anything like it because I've never been to a first team game, never been to any first team game. But the Anderlecht game was something else, really. You know, we got on the pitch as well, and he carried me onto the pitch. I mean, he was like a big kid. He was a proper goon. I mean, proper Arsenal. I can't believe he never buried my grandma so he could, you know, get to the games. That's how mad he was. I always said to him, you got rid of her earlier. You know, you could have gone through the 40s and the 50s, you know.
But I would have loved to have spoken to your grandfather because he went in the 30s, you say.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a great Arsenal team.
Yeah, he was there. And the brilliant thing is that he was quite famous down Petticoat Lane. He sold oranges down there, right? And his oranges, yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah.
people came all over to get his oranges, and all the Arsenal first team, like from the Jimmy Logie, all that lot, right? Alex James, they all used to come to his stall and buy the oranges.
No. Wow.
Yeah, he used to have all the Arsenal first team on the Sundays, like going down there buying his oranges. And
wow, amazing.
Yeah. I used to show me pictures. It was fantastic. He had all these black and white pictures, and brilliant. Yeah.
Well, he was famous, Alex James, for wearing his shorts up below his knee.
Yeah.
So when he was dribbling, the theory went that no one could tell which way he was going. I got a book on him. I mean, Alex James. Though my father never saw him, he was like, he got told about Alex James so many times, and he's sitting there going, right, Alex James is this, he was this, and he kept telling me all the stories. So I bought the books and everything, and unbelievable. The third with Herbert Chapman, obviously, that's where we really we were born as a successful club.
Yeah.
When you started watching us, when you started watching Arsenal, say 69, 70, 71, say for example 72, who were your favourite players?
Well, obviously, lots of them. I guess because when I got out of bed one morning and came into the lounge, and my grandpa just said to me, "We've sold Ray Kennedy. He's gone to Liverpool." I was inconsolable. I was in tears. So even though I loved Geordie Armstrong, you know, so much, Geordie Armstrong and Charlie George, I loved them. Like, I just loved them, idolised them. But I think Ray Kennedy, I'm going to have to say Ray Kennedy, because when Charlie George went to Derby, I was a little bit older, a year or so older. It really hurt, and I couldn't understand it. But Ray Kennedy brought me. Yeah, I went back to bed, and I was.
Ray Kennedy, to a degree, was the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle in the double year. I mean, they all played their part. Don't get me wrong, but he was the last. He just came in as an 18, 19-year-old, had a partnership with John Radcliffe, was second to none, and he was a big influence in why we won. I mean, they all were. This gentleman here, John has said that he was the only one in the school of 300 boys that supported Arsenal. He said, "I must put my glasses on." The only fact. Well, funny enough, at my school, I was there was in my year there was only one other Arsenal supporter, and he never said a word. He was Arsenal, but he never used the. Everyone was
that? Where was your school?
Arsenal. What's that?
Where was your school?
Ilford County.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So I was like, I had to talk for two people, and I was everyone was arguing with me, as you do at that age. And then when we won the Anderlecht game that night, the next day I walked into school with baby sham. Do you remember the old baby shams?
Yeah.
And all the kids in my class had some. I mean, obviously they like alcohol, but they shouldn't have done, but we did. But they went, "No, you won it." When we done the double, I've done the same thing. The following year we're going to talk about, I did the same thing. I brought in champagne, like little bottles of baby sham, and they all drank it because they realised what an achievement that was. So I had to fight my own corner for Arsenal actually at school, but I think I've done all right. Now then, did you say Ray Kennedy? Yeah, he was terrific.
Yeah, that was. I think Ray Kennedy was the one. I think he was my favourite player. Loved everything about him. I just thought he was the thing that, like you said, the final jigsaw, and especially after being lucky enough again, thanks to my grandpa, how he got him, I don't know, being at White Hart Lane as well that Monday night.
You went to that?
Yeah. He just got tickets. This fella went to Wembley, a few days later. He just managed to get tickets from this place in Fenchurch Street, and
it's very more than Bertie, was it? No, I'm talking about your father. It wasn't like Bertie Mead, the manager of Arsenal, might have been. That's why he got all the tickets.
So say again, who?
You're not related to Bertie Mead, are you?
No, it was. What's that famous tat? It was one of his Stan.
Stan Flashman.
Yes. Yeah. So it was a
For
kiosk.
people that don't know, Stan Flashman was a ticket agent, whatever you like. Yeah, ticket agent, and he gave people a service. If you couldn't get a ticket, you'd go to him. They were saying he even had tickets for the Queen's Garden Party if you wanted.
Yeah. But what it was,
he knew a lot of the players. He did a great service for people that wanted it, and some people would turn up on match days not knowing if they're going to get in or not. And if they had if it was the right price for both parties, he'd go, "Yeah, I've got a ticket for you," bang, and then you'd go, "No, he did." Yeah,
but I think before he started doing that, before he was like this major sort of town.
He was major.
Yeah, he was a big. But like I say, when my grandpa got the tickets, I think it was his. It was like because he took me there only once. All going into Fenchurch Street, the beginning of Fenchurch Street near the station. There was this little kiosk thing, and that's where he used to get in and get the tickets. And we just used to have the same ticket. We had them for years. The only time we did, for some reason, we didn't have those tickets, and we had to stand, was the Derby game on the with the Wednesday afternoon. We had to go in the clock end, and other than that, we got the tickets every game, the same seats. So I think because of White Hart Lane, that night at White Hart Lane, and seeing that ball come over, and seeing Ray Kennedy head it in, and what it meant for a young kid as well, to win the title. It was my first second proper season to win a title. I think that's why I think Ray Kennedy was it.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, we'll go on to that season in a minute. We'll talk about that. What favourite moments you got at Highbury, apart from there might be some favourite matches you went to that stand out, but moments? Anything special?
Oh God, there's so many at Highbury. I mean, so many different moments. One moment I'll never forget was the Liverpool semi-final, the League Cup semi-final, was it, in the North Bank, and it was just packed in there, and the atmosphere. I remember, was it 90? What year was that? It was in the 70s, wasn't it? It was absolutely. It was the same year, so it was 1980. Must have been. It was the same year as the Juventus game was just after that, and I just remember that for the atmosphere. It was a draw. But I'd never known, like, in the North Bank, atmosphere like that. And the first time I took my son as well to Highbury was very, very special.
Big thing. Same here. Very big thing.
Yeah, that was a special day. And that was Sol Campbell's home debut as well, because that was 2002. And I can't remember who we played. I can't remember the score, but I'm guessing we won because we always win. We always won in that season. So so many special. I'll tell you another amazing night was the Everton semi-final when we beat them and got through to the League Cup final.
So when Perry Groves scored, was it Perry Groves? I think Perry Groves scored.
I can't remember. It was just an incredible. A great memory of Highbury was when I can't think of his name now, in the last minute against Man United in the cup game, and he knocked it over the bar. He smacked it over the bar. That was another really special memory. But then, all the memories of the title-winning teams, and Ian Wright when he broke the goal scoring record, going mental.
So many memories. Did you play football at school?
I did a little bit, but I wasn't. I was in goal, and I wasn't.
Well, the question I was going to ask you: did you play in goal? Well, obviously, the answer's going to be no now because I know the answer. Who's your favourite? And I say, did you play in goal because your favourite player was a goalkeeper, or just because you're quite tall?
No, I've never really had a favourite goalkeeper. Really, I've never really looked at Arsenal goalkeepers and really thought, oh wow, I mean, we've had some amazing keepers, and I think I was an amazing keeper. Really looking back on it, I was pretty good. Was I better than John Lukic? Probably not. Now I love John Lukic for many reasons because he was a star. He was in that team that George Graham got together after some horrible, terrible years, under when Terry Neal left and Don Howe. George Graham got this team together, and I can see exactly it's the same sort of thing what Arteta's doing now, and it's very similar. And I really love John Lukic as a goalkeeper, yeah. And I love Ramsdale. Funny enough, I think he's. I love the character.
Apart from Tottenham, White Hart Lane, you shouldn't keep me mentioning them, but we have done tonight. Any other away grounds you went to and you thought Highbury is nothing like this? They're nothing. Highbury is so different in a very, very good way. Did you think that, or did you think? I mean, the floodlights were different for a start. We only I think we didn't have these floodlights in the corners and pylons.
If I'm honest, I've been very, very lucky. I've been to most grounds, and this is going to sound biased. And if there's any other people on here that don't support Arsenal, they're going to think, "Oh, you're right." I don't think there's anywhere else like Highbury. No, that's being really honest. There's some great grounds like Upton Park. You go to Upton Park, a midweek game. It's such a shame these grounds have gone. It really is. Yeah. And even White Hart Lane, I hate to say it, but White Hart Lane on a derby day, the old White Hart Lane, especially in the 70s, I was at White Hart Lane, funny enough, when they played Chelsea and they needed to win. And I was with my mate Howard Barkley. He was a Tottenham fan, and Arsenal weren't playing. I went with him, and the atmosphere in that place. But that was back in with the violence and everything, and it really did kick off pretty, terrible.
Did you?
And these players are iconic, but no, Highbury's no. There's nothing like Highbury now.
I agree. I mean, when you went to the ground, did you get a program, and did you, like me, study it before the game?
Yeah. Always.
You had to, because there was no internet. The newspapers didn't really cover your teams that well in the 60s and 70s. So basically, you had to learn from the program.
Yeah.
And I think before the game, I was there early anyway. Get the program and read the form, see what's going on. You knew a lot of the other players anyway from the other teams, because teams didn't buy and sell players like they do nowadays. You had a basis of 11 players that would play every season with a few additions to the squad. Yeah. So it was totally different, but it was, I love the programs. In fact, I might put a few on in a minute to see what's going on, to explain.
One of my favourite things about going to football was always the excitement. It's mad, but as a kid, the most exciting thing was the programme. And then it even got better when Arsenal got a little bit more upmarket. And because if you remember in the 50s or 60s, even when I started, every programme had the same front cover. It was always the same front cover.
Per season.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And then all of a sudden they changed it. The front covers changed, and every week was a different cover. And I just couldn't wait to see the cover. I was always excited to see what was on the front cover.
Well, let's go to one of those, shall we? Now we're going to talk about the 70-71 season. I think we did something that season. I think we were quite successful. But let's show you one of the programmes. Now this is Arsenal Leeds. I picked this one out because it was, I think it's early September. Yeah. Leeds were favourites for the league that season, Russ.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the season us and Leeds were going to the wire to win it. It was basically one on, not goal difference, goal average, which I'll explain to people that don't know the difference. There is a difference. I'll explain it in a minute. But that game was 0-0. I don't know if you went to that, an evening game. Do you remember that one at all? 0-0.
In the double season? Yeah, the double season. I was lucky enough to go to all home games.
For me, this is one of the greatest 0-0 games I've ever seen. We were not fancied for the league that season, though we won the Fairs Cup the year before. We were up and coming. We thought we had a chance, but there were so many good teams. There was United, there was Spurs doing well. I keep mentioning them. There was, as I say, Leeds and clubs like that, and Everton that had won it the season before. All big clubs that were vying for the championship. And Leeds were fantastic, but they had a player called Billy Bremner, as you know.
Yeah.
And I remember, and we had a young kid come into the team from the season before, done very well, called Eddie Kelly in midfield. And I remember them both running away from me, chasing a ball towards the touchline. And I could see them both jostling each other. And all of a sudden, Bremner goes down on the deck, holding his face like he'd been elbowed. Now, I don't know if he got elbowed or not. I don't know. The crowd went wild. Eddie Kelly got sent off. And we played for quite a lot of the game. I think it was the first half that happened, with 10 men against the 11 of Leeds, who really, you don't want to play against 10 against 11 with any team, especially not Leeds. They were very good. And we held them. It was a thrusting game, one side or the other. Brilliant game. And that game, we came out of there and we thought, you know what? We ain't bad. We're not a bad team. Not saying we're going to win the league. You could tell it that early in the season. And this is, now this, I don't know if you can see it. I've got to put my glasses on now. Oh,
I've got to put my watch on.
This is the travel information on every, people can't see it, sorry if you can't see it, can't expand it. That's in the programme of Leeds. That gives the supporters of Arsenal all the travel arrangements for every other club in the country. So when they go to different grounds, they know how to get there. There might be trains or the cars or the addresses of everything. That's fantastic. Really good. Now, one of the other games we played that year, a cup, we had obviously not a bad cup run, we won it. And this was a magnificent game. I don't know if you remember this one. Here we go. After a replay.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great night.
Yeah,
I was standing in the North Bank that night. I didn't have a ticket. So I stood in the North Bank and we were 1-0 down. Portsmouth went 1 up. And then I remember Charlie George picking up the ball in our half and running towards us with the ball, running. And then he let fly of a shot, and all you do is see the net go, and that was it. And we went on to win that 3-2. I mean, it was a fantastic.
Story got a penalty, didn't it? Is that Peter Story got a penalty in that game?
Yes, I think he did. Yes.
Yeah,
that
3-2.
I went to the away game at Portsmouth as well, but so that was a draw. It was 1-1 that one. That was fantastic. We got here. Oh, this is a thing. Again, you won't have to read them, but what Arsenal used to do in the programme that season, letters to the editor. People used to write up about random stuff, not necessarily about football. Things that, it's quite strange really, but people that was their way of communicating with the fans of Arsenal, which I thought was quite nice. Nice touch. So people used to do that, letters to the editor. I don't know if the editor actually existed, but that's what they called it anyway.
No, I don't think he did, no.
What's this one? That was the Arsenal Tottenham game of the double year. You beat them 2-0.
So your thing's been taken off. Your cup final voucher's been taken off.
Yeah, that's right. Because exactly right. That's where they used to put the cup final vouchers in the programme. There's a big hole in your programme. Then they cottoned on. It's better to do it at the edge.
Yeah.
Sorry. Going back to when we won the league, we won it by goal average, not goal difference. Goal difference now, if you scored 80 goals in 60, is 20, the value. Where years ago, it was the goals you've scored over the goals you've conceded, and it's like a fraction.
Yeah.
And it was the team with the better, so it was much, we won it by half a goal that season, it worked out.
Yeah.
Really, really strange. But I'm not complaining.
No, you don't. You never complain. You always take everything.
Oh, so let's go back. Got a marching band, Metropolitan Band. That was brilliant. and all the songs underneath that they sing and play. That was a bit of entertainment before. That was good. That's the Spurs cover, which I'm going to.
You've got to say that that's a strong Tottenham team, isn't it? Really
fantastic. Well, they came third in the league that year, didn't they? And I think they won the League Cup that year.
Yeah,
now that's the Arsenal also in the programme. Arsenal crossword.
Yeah.
And what's underneath that? Again, need a bit of assistance here, Russ. I don't know what that is.
I can't. No.
I've got the programme there. I might have a look in a minute.
Did anyone do those? I used to watch them, like before games. People used to bring a pen and do those crosswords.
Well, I would have done them if I was clever enough, but I did. I was very good at the 3 and 4 letter ones, Russ. I could get all of those. 3 and 4 letter. Just give me another one. I said, give me another one. Look at the 5 and 6 letters. I was struggling. Right now, going back to the 70-71, I'm picking out a few games here. Our average attendance for that season, when we won the double, was 43,000. I think the ground could have held 50, 60,000 because it was a lot of it was standing, wasn't it? Then?
Yeah.
So that's what we did. Our highest goal scorer was your mate, Ray Kennedy. He scored 26 goals, which 19 were league goals.
Would you say he's the most probably underrated player in the history of football? I mean, he never got, when he went to Liverpool, he won European Cups.
He won everything. He won everything.
Everything. And yet you never really, hear about him as much as you do all the other Liverpool legends and Arsenal legends.
That's true, actually. He was very, very classy as well. For the old saying, Russ, for a big guy, he had good ball control. He was a big lad, wasn't he? Because they moved him to midfield, didn't they?
Moved him to midfield, yeah.
And he was fantastic in midfield. And to be a midfield player, you've got to be able to play a bit of football, and he could, even though he was 6'2", 6'3", and very, very strong and big.
Unbelievable player.
He was quality. He had a fantastic left foot. He was very good in the air, as we know. Great passing, great dribbler as well. He had it all, and he won loads of medals for
just
Liverpool.
Everything.
No.
Everything.
As well. He played a lot of games for England as well.
Yeah, and he was their talisman. That's what I'm saying. When they talk about all these great Liverpool players in that team that won the European Cup in that time, he doesn't really get a mention as much as all the others. And he was.
I've never thought of that, Russ, but do you think he didn't get because he came from Arsenal, because he came from a big club? When they used to buy players, Liverpool, like Keegan, who came from Scunthorpe, and players like that, they used to go, and Toshak, I think, was Cardiff, clubs that were in the lower divisions. And so when they signed them, it's like they're one of us. We've made them. We've made this player who he is. But when Ray Kennedy had already won the double for Arsenal and then went to Liverpool, perhaps they thought he's still got his Arsenal bubble hat on. I'm sure he never played like that because he was fantastic. But the supporters or whatever might have thought back of their mind, well, he's ex-Arsenal. That might be.
Yeah. Who knows?
They did very well signing him, didn't they? Very well.
Terrible.
A game I've got on another game that I loved watching. Like yesterday, I even remember where I was sitting, because I didn't always sit in the same place. It was where my uncle could get me tickets. Wherever there was a spare ticket, he used to let me have it. We beat West Brom 6-2. Do you remember that game?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was fantastic. It was like balls were going in the net from all angles. But one particular goal, I think it might have been the 6th goal. I haven't looked it up. I should have done a bit of research, Melvyn. Was George Graham scored a goal. He did a 1-2 wall pass with John Samuels. He did a few of those in his career for the Arsenal. He pushed it to Samuels. It was a free kick. Pushed it to Samuels. Moved forward. Samuels flicked it back to him. He smashed it in the net on a volley. I mean, it was just a great, great goal. And funny enough, that was the only goal when I got home. You never used to see football on the box, only match of the day and the big match of the Sunday. But they had it on one of the news, like the ITV news when I got home. Just that goal. So it was fantastic. I'm sure you can get that somewhere. And now this is the thing always. Do you remember? I want to test you now. This is your start of the 25.
Yeah, go on.
We played a team 1 week. We beat them 4-0. And then 2 weeks later, normally you play home and away every 2 weeks, not like it is now. When it's all to do with the television, right?
Stoke City.
No. Listen, you got to
Oh,
hear
you know
the,
this.
you got to hear the question first. We beat a team 4-0 at home. The next week we played away. The following week we played at home again. Played obviously a different team in the league again. Beat them 4-0. And the same player played for both teams. Who was that player? He got beat by us 4-0 in two consecutive games at Highbury.
So he played at Highbury against us, and we beat him 4-0. And then he moved. And then he moved.
Yeah. That's this season, 70-71. I remember it. I'll tell you the first two teams, give you a clue.
Well, the only teams I can do, I know we beat Man United 4-0 at the beginning of the season, because I remember that game. I remember we beat Man United 4-0. And that was at the beginning of the season, wasn't it? That was near the start of the season.
Yeah.
So we beat Man United 4-0. The other team we beat 4-0. Oh my God. I mean, my memory wasn't Coventry.
Someone's got it in the chat. Don't look at the chat. You got the chat.
No,
Look at the chat. Someone's
got
it. Very impressed.
That's brilliant. I got it. I haven't seen it. Kennedy was incredible. That's all I can say. Kennedy was incredible.
Don't look. It wasn't Kennedy, right?
No, it wasn't Kennedy. We beat Man United 4-0 at the beginning. That's the one thing I can remember. And I know we lost to Stoke 5-0. Did we beat Forest?
Yes. Forest was one of the teams.
Really? So I remember. Who was the player? Who was the player that played for Man United and then moved?
No, it wasn't
to
Man
Forest?
United. It wasn't the other one. Wasn't Man United.
Oh, the other one wasn't Man United.
No.
God, blimey, that's a brilliant question. And he moved. So he played for Forest.
Yeah.
1971.
And then I tell you what, he played for Forest, and then he went to Everton, and we beat Everton, who were the champions at the time. Beat them 4-0.
No, it wasn't Mackenzie, was it? That was too early. Was it Mackenzie? A guy called Mackenzie?
It was too early.
No, I can't think.
No. A guy called Henry Newton.
No.
No?
No. Has someone got that?
Yeah, someone in the chat.
Someone got that? Well, do you know what? He's probably older than us. He's probably older than me.
I doubt it.
I don't remember. I was 10. I don't remember Henry Newton. And
Henry
he probably doesn't remember me.
I think he played for England a couple of times.
Really? Newton?
Yeah, he played like full-back and or midfield. So he got beat 4-0 twice. So that was a strange one. And I'll tell you what, another fantastic game.
He never played for Tottenham. Should have played for Tottenham as well.
The shame, yeah, would have been there for him.
Exactly, yeah.
Another fantastic game was another draw, but it's for the wrong reasons. We played Southampton Boxing Day, as you used to do years ago. We drew them 0-0. It was covered in snow, the pitch, but thick snow. And they had a goalkeeper called Eric Martin. And everything we hit at him, I think he had 12 pair of hands that day he brought out. He was just saving everything. And it was just so exciting. I think we hit the post, hit the bar, but when he didn't hit the post or hit the bar, he was there saving it. And that was a very, very good game. And then another one. The only game we lost at home at Highbury that season, you know what it was? In the double year? It's a bit of a...
The double year? I think we lost... Was it 1-0, if I remember? I think we lost 1-0. Or was it 2-0?
It wasn't in the league. It wasn't in the league, Russ. We didn't lose in the league at home.
It wasn't in the league.
No.
Well, I know in the cup we went out to we lost the Leeds. No, we won the cup. So in the double year, in the League Cup. Who did we lose to in the League Cup? I don't think I went. I went to all the league games, but I don't think on a night game I would have gone to.
It was a team that we would have fancied on our day to have beaten. Crystal Palace beat us 2-0.
Do you know what? I thought that was a year before.
No.
Okay. Because I know we went out the cup the year before to Blackpool, didn't we?
That's right.
Yeah, I remember that. I was in a terrible state. I remember the Blackpool game, but the Palace. No, I don't remember that. No.
Right. Now then, let's get on to the 71-2 season. Okay.
You've got a great memory. My God.
Yeah, don't ask me what my name is, please, I've forgotten. Right. Now, this is one of with the games we played in the 1-2 season, and it wasn't very successful for
Oh yeah, yeah,
that was in the European Cup, which was the prime European competition as it was, and they were a very, very good team.
Yeah,
we lost by 1 goal away, and this was a return leg. I don't know if you remember that game for 2 reasons, 3 reasons. Go on. Remember it?
No, I wasn't there. I remember it. I had a little transistor radio underneath the duvet or the sheets.
Transistor radio, bloody hell.
A little transistor radio. Yeah,
right.
Listen to it in bed, and horrible
feeling. Goals counted double. I think we got beat 2-1. We fancied ourselves to get 1 goal and go through. Although Ajax were a fantastic team, at home we fancied our chances.
Yeah, they
anyway,
were.
The first few minutes, as I recall, and I could be wrong, someone will tell me. I'm sure they will. Marinello went through 1-on-1 with the keeper, and we all went, "Here we go," and he missed it. I don't know if the keeper saved it or he kicked it past the post or whatever. And after that, we seemed a little bit deflated because so early on, to not, to have that opportunity, and you knew against Ajax, you ain't going to get too many opportunities. But then they went up the other end. And I think one of the guys crossed the ball nonchalantly into the box, and George Graham flicked it back to Bob Wilson with his head. The only thing there was, Bob Wilson wasn't there. It went in the net.
Yeah.
And that meant they got their away goal. We needed 2 just to draw, and they were just too good for us on the night.
Yeah.
But never mind, as they say, never mind.
We'll get that trophy soon. Don't you worry about that.
I don't think so. This is the team. You can't see it, but I love their kit. Ajax's kit. They didn't play in that kit, obviously, on the European game. But the year before, when we won the Bears Cup, they played that because we played in yellow and blue for the semi-final for some reason. But that was an iconic kit with Ajax. Absolutely brilliant. And some of the players, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they were. They were amazing.
What we got here? Oh, this is the thing. That was the thing about Peter Simpson, talking about him. Also, a lot of you talking about Russell, the half-time scores and the corner bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Every team had a letter, and you could see what was, the scores were half-time.
Yeah, I love that.
Fantastic. Everyone was looking, waiting for geezers to put the numbers in, and fantastic.
And sometimes you couldn't get it in. Do you remember? You couldn't get it in.
Now, this was the first game, first home game of the season. I think you spoke about this earlier. Played Man United. First game was double winning. You'll see how the program had changed. The front. It's got the 2 of us go. Ray Kennedy scoring the winner at White Hart Lane, and Charlie George scoring that goal at Wembley. So for us to both very iconic goals for us to win a double. And that was the first game of the season, and we won 3-0, like you say. We thought, here we go again.
Yeah.
Why not? We're going to do it again. At least the league, because the cup. At that time, the cup was the FA Cup was a very important competition, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Cup was
not, in some respects, more prestigious for some reason than the league, because everyone in the country seemed to watch the FA Cup final. The league, it was who won the league that year? I can't remember. FA Cup, everyone would tell you who won. I
think the reason was because the cup final was the only game on live. League games weren't on. It was match of the day. You saw it for 5-10 minutes, and that was it. And the big match on with Brian Moore. But the FA Cup final was the only live game, so everyone wanted their team to be there for that big and all the it's a knockout. The whole day was the FA Cup. They made such a big thing of it. It was the last game of the season. It was just the most, it was the most amazing.
Someone reckons we beat Chelsea first game. I thought it was Man United we beat first game.
No, we beat Chelsea. I remember that because I think
Chelsea was the first game actually. I know we beat both
first game. Yeah.
I bounce your superior knowledge.
Yeah, we beat them 3-0. Who's that? That's
this
Tuesday,
guy,
the 25th of April.
The same guy got the Henry Newton. Got to get him on. Got to get the guy on. In fact, he can take over from me. Fantastic.
Yeah. No, we beat Chelsea. Yeah.
Sorry, we beat Chelsea 3-0, and that's when we
Yeah.
thought, here we go again. And then we did beat United later on. But as we know, it never happened the next season, did it? We know that. But
And
just going back to that season, the average attendance for the 1-2
Kennedy
season.
the average was in that Chelsea game. Sorry.
The average attendance was 40,000 that year, slightly less. And Ray Kennedy again was our top scorer. He got 19 goals, 12 of which were in the league. So everything's slightly less, slightly less. Right, let's see what other programs we've got here. Oh, this is the thing that I wanted to show people this. What they used to do in the program. The manager's article talking about having you're having your one-to-one with a manager. It's brilliant, and he's obviously very, very proud. He's got all the trophies around him, Bertie me. It's really good. It's really so different to what we see nowadays. You see it on the television now. They don't have to write anything in the program. But that was, and also my memory might be playing tricks on me, which it sometimes does. But I don't think managers really said a lot in the press. They didn't have a. It wasn't. It was basically this was it. This was your chance to hear the manager's voice through the printed word. So that was terrific, absolutely terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, the opening Chelsea was the opening game. I just seen some notes. Yeah. What we got here? A photo of. Oh yes, this is a great photo. Frank with all the double trophy. Look at that. What a fantastic photograph. Absolutely fantastic. One of the now, do you remember we played in the FA Cup that season? We played away. We were drawn away to Derby County, and we drew 2-2.
Yeah.
Charlie George got both goals.
Yeah.
And it was a baseball ground Derby used to play at, and it was so muddy and small, but it was an unbelievable atmosphere. And we got them back to Highbury, and the thing was that we had to play them during the day because the strikes were on. The 3-day week we had, you couldn't have electricity, so there's no floodlights. So it was like a 1 o'clock kickoff. It might have been midweek, which was unheard of. They had a crowd of 63,000. One of the barriers crashed, I remember going to the game. The atmosphere was fantastic. And you know what? It was a rubbish game. Nothing happened.
It was a draw. Yeah, I remember it was a draw, wasn't it?
It was like, oh my God. Yeah. There is a story about me with that game. I was just started working as a 16-year-old in an office. And when I went up to Derby that Saturday, my uncle took me up to Derby on a train. We're on the same train were a few of the directors of my company. They didn't really know me, apart from the office manager. And he looked at me and goes, right, Marksy boy, he used to call me. Yes, sir. 3 bags full. So yeah, because he was very intimidating guy, really. Lovely guy, but very intimidating. Anyway, we drew, and my uncle said to me, right, you coming for the replay? I went, I can't get time off work. I can't get time off work. Well, can't you ask your boss? I went, no. I can't do it. He might sack me. I was that scared, So anyway, I think it might have been a Tuesday game. I'm sitting at the desk, I've got my pencil, writing away, looking down. All of a sudden, this big shadow comes over me. It might have been about 11:30. He goes, Marksy boy. And I looked up, and he was over me. He was smoking a cigarette, as I used to do years ago. He goes, I think you better pee off. Is that right? I went, yes, sir. I knew what he meant. And off I went to the ground. No one else knew what he meant. Isn't it about time you peed off? I went, yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Off I went to phone my uncle up. Have you got a spare? Yeah, I'll get you in. It wasn't a great game, but it was nice to be there, as they say. Now then, talking about one of the players, as you say, all the double year players and 71 Super, that era, they're all heroes of mine, obviously. Some more than others, but they're all heroes. And one that I don't think gets a mention, but was so integral to our success. They all are, don't get me wrong, but this guy, for what people talk about, they don't really talk about him a lot. They do stuff, but not to the extent that he should be. It's this geezer.
I knew you were going to say that.
Did you?
I knew you were going to say that.
How good was he?
But like you say, they're all good. But
they're all terrific, don't get me wrong. But
again, it's like
he was underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the same with the Ray Kennedy thing at Liverpool. He was really underrated. Peter Story. Everyone thought he was just this hard man, which he was. This hard man that hurt people, but he was more than that. He was much more.
He did a great job. His job was get the ball off the oppo and give it to someone and do something with it. And he did it all the time. He was fantastic. Ice cool. He had ice in his veins with a penalty against Stoke in the FA Cup that season. Taking
that to do that, like the pressure penalty against, and I remember standing there because we couldn't get seats for that game, and I couldn't because I was obviously a kid. You couldn't really see, and all I could, because remembering the World Cup, the World Cup and Gordon Banks, and obviously Banks was the best goalkeeper in the world. You're looking into injury time now. It's a semi-final of the FA Cup, last kick of the game probably. And all I could think about, I didn't think he'd had the nerves to beat Gordon Banks. And it was such a cool penalty, wasn't it?
That's what I'm saying. He had ice in his veins, the guy.
And when that went in, you just knew you were at Wembley. You just knew.
That was it. They were finished. The replay, Stoke were never going to win the replay. That was it. They had their chance.
And Stoke were decent. Like I said before, they beat us 5-0 at their place earlier in the season.
5-0 they beat us, and we had a good
5-0, yeah. They were a decent side. They really were a good side. 2-0 up. They're 2-0 up in the semi-final. And you'd have to be a kid to have that sick feeling in your stomach.
No,
half time. And I just remember my grandpa, do you want something sweet? I couldn't eat or anything. And then, to put away that penalty against Gordon Banks, what a player. He was a player, yeah.
I am repeating myself for some of the people that join us, but I will repeat again. For this game, I went up for the first game. I went to both, actually, but for the Hillsborough game, we were 2-0 down. I think it was 2-1 with about a couple of minutes to go. My father said, I can't take any more of this. And he walked out. Anyway, he walked out. As you know, a minute later, we get a corner, handball, penalty. Thank you very much for your story. We're all going mad. We get out the ground, happy as you like, and we get to the station where my dad was on the train. And he goes, you won't believe what's happened to me. I said, what? He said, I went down the stairs, got onto where the ground of the street was. All of a sudden, a guy behind me shouting, in Arsenal, got a penalty. My dad said, I put my hands up, went, yes. And he knocked me to the floor. I said, did he hurt you? He said, a little bit. He said, I don't care. We got through, he said. I don't care. We got the goal, made it 2-2. So that's what happened to him. But, God, dear. Unbelievable. Right, now, this show is all about nostalgia, memories, Highbury. Mix it all up and you come up with a fantastic cake. But something I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to actually talk about a book that really epitomises all that I'm trying to do. This book was out a couple of years ago. It's still on sale now. This is Highbury Memories. I've got it here. It's a phenomenal book. It's much more than what I'm doing, but in words. It's fantastic. It's got a list of everyone's favourite time to go to Arsenal. It's only everyone's got about 3 or 4 lines talking about their favourite game. Just 1 or 2 lines there, but it's got other things as well. That's the front and back cover, by the way. I'm told you can get it. I've got it anyway. £10 as a special offer up. But I suggest that anyone who enjoys anything like this show and anything, keep watching the show, but get that book, Highbury Memories. It's really, really good. Now then, I'm going to talk about a few things that happened around 71, because I'm not going to talk about every year, 70, 71, 72. But just to show how old we are, Russ, this is a few things that happened in 71. Right, here we go. The Walt Disney World theme park opened in Florida.
Oh, God.
Bloody hell. A new stock market index called the NASDAQ opened. And there was an education secretary who ended free school milk for children over the age of 7. You know who that was?
Margaret Thatcher.
Yes, Margaret Thatcher. God dear. What other things were going on? I'll tell you what. Now, a group you may have heard of, I think everyone's heard of them already. I mean, one of my favourites, Led Zeppelin. They released their 4th album without a name. They just called it the 4th album. Phenomenal album. I don't know if you know that one at all. It's got Stairway. You know Stairway to Heaven?
Yeah.
That's on that album.
Yeah.
Now then, sad news was Jim Morrison of the Doors was found dead in a bathtub in Paris that year, 71.
Sure.
Unbelievable. Now, what about these films? Some of these classic films. The French Connection.
Yeah.
Quality. Clockwork Orange, which was banned, I think, for a time.
You know what? It was banned, and we watched it about 3 years ago. First time I ever watched it. I didn't see it then. Well, I wouldn't have been allowed in anyway. But we watched it about 3
Couldn't you
years
got under
ago.
someone's coat, Russ? Couldn't you got under
Weird
someone's light coat and got in the cinema? Done that all, Chestnut?
Yeah, that wasn't a bad. People did do that then, didn't they?
I did say years ago. Yeah,
No one. I was a fat kid. No one want me under their coat.
This is another film. This is an absolute classic. A couple of classics here. I'll just read all these off. Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah. Was that 71? I thought that was earlier than 71.
Yeah, the show was earlier, but the film came out 71. Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
Great film. And Shaft. Also, some of the bands are around there. Bob Dylan. He was good. The Who. I remember Mungo Jerry in the summertime, because I remember that was my last year at school, and that was number one. For some reason, I can just recall that in my brain. Rod Stewart had a hit with Maggie May. I remember that, 71. And the Brown Sugar by the Rolling Stones. Michael Jackson was coming at the front then. TV programs. I don't know the first one, but I'm not going to mention it. The Partridge Family, though. Remember that with David Cassidy?
Yeah, David Cassidy.
A lot of people said I look like David Cassidy in the dark. No. The Odd Couple was a program, not only a film. There was a detective, a cowboy detective called McLeod. Do you remember him?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, with the hat. Yeah.
And these are the people born in 1971. Lance Armstrong, the cyclist, he was born in 71. Maria Carey, though she probably won't admit that, but she looks good for 71.
Yeah, 71. She does. Good for 50. Yeah.
Elon Musk is in the news recently. He was born in 71. And Sacha Baron Cohen, he was born in 71 as well. We had the Prime Minister was Edward Heath, remember, because it was the miners' strike. That's why we had the 3-day weeks. Edward Heath had to go after that. He had to go. Right, some prices here. Right. Colour television. 4-inch Ferguson. Black and white, not colour. £69, which sounds cheap, but when you think about inflation, if you add in inflation, I haven't done the calculation to give you a clue, it's about 750 quid. You can get a black and white one now. If it was black and white one, it's probably about 50 quid nowadays, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Black and white.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, colour one. God, colour one all those years ago, a 25-inch, 289 quid. They cost about that now. So you think about inflation, it's equivalent to 3,200 in today's money.
Cool.
I don't know how many litres in a gallon. I forgot to work that one out. Anyway, a Ford Cortina, 968 quid, which is in inflation is 11,000. So that's not too bad. That's quite cheap. But a little bit more than that cars now, aren't they? Around that type of car.
I always wanted a Cortina though. Oh no, was it a Cortina? I always wanted a Cortina.
Car. You know, if you want to do, give it the old, what mate? It was a Cortina.
Yeah.
That's why I probably never had one. Anyway, a pint of beer, Whitbread, it has to be Whitbread, 16p, which in today, that's cheap because in today's money, £1.80. So I don't know what a beer is. I know Arsenal is about £48,000, but it's £1.80 at the moment. There. So luckily, even a fiver, so it's cheaper then. There's other things. A can of Coke was 5.5p. It's about the same.
Did you say 5.5p for a can of Coke?
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder. Can I just say something about that?
Yeah,
we used to go. So on Sundays, my grandpa used to take me because my dad died when I was 2. That's why he took over.
Right.
And on Sundays, we used to go to the West End around that time and see a film, whatever. And we were in Hyde Park, and I was gasping. It was a hot day, and I asked him for a can of Coke. And I swear, he went up, and he was one of those guys with the, the what they call them, the freezers where you just take it out.
Oh
And the
yeah.
guy said 50 pence. And my grandpa walked. The first time my grandpa didn't get me anything, I was gasping. And he goes, I'm not paying 50 pence. So how much would 50p be now? I mean, he was disgusted. He walked
50p.
50p back in 71.
Well, 50p, 50 in old money, that would be 12 and a half. 50 pence, old pence.
Yeah, 71.
So that's 20p today's money.
Oh, because you said a can of Coke then was 5 pence, but he
wanted
wanted
50p in today's money, yeah, 5.5p.
Oh, okay. Because he wanted,
He wanted 4 times the price, in other words.
Yeah.
Right.
So
also, what I haven't told you,
I just left thirsty.
Now then, to rent a council flat for a week was £5.
Was it?
Yeah.
It's bargain.
An average house was £5,000. Now, this is what tickets cost for Arsenal. We played Chelsea in 1971, opening game, right?
175, isn't it?
Opening game was Chelsea, right? Thank you. It cost you 30p to stand in the North Bank.
Yeah.
If you wanted to sit in the East Lower,
£1.25.
60p. That's not bad, is it?
No, I'm sure they were about £1.25 on our ticket. We're upper tier west, and I'm sure I remember.
Upper is lower. Upper is more expensive than lower.
I'm sure it said 125 on them stubs.
Well, upper or lower?
Upper, we're upper west.
This is lower though. This is lower, so it'll be cheaper. That's why. But no, that was fantastic. I mean, great to hear some of your stories and the memories. I mean, though you were young at the time, you seem to have, because you said you may not remember a lot of the things, but going back, you do remember. It was easy for me to remember that because I was 16 at the time.
Yeah.
You must have been about 7 or 8 or something. So
no, I was 10. I was born in 61.
10.
I was 10.
It was amazing, absolutely amazing times. I mean, going back to it all, Highbury was so special. It's something that, as I say, you had a feeling when you said the smell of it. You could smell the cigarettes. You could smell the cigars actually in certain parts.
Yeah, the cigars. Yeah.
You could smell that. It had a buzz to it, and you've got to remember that when I used to go in, I started going properly 64-5. So 62 was my first game. The 64-5 was probably when I used to go every home game, get taken, and we weren't very good. We had a good attack. We kept letting in goals at the other end. And we weren't successful, but the place still had something about it. The commissionaires that used to stay in there, they were fantastic. It was. They used to call it the Mecca of football, Highbury, and you understand why now. So there we go.
Yeah, well, we used to sit in, it was around the back of around the back of Highbury Hill. The entrance there, all the houses. Then you go through, and then you can, the whole stand there. That beautiful stand hidden by the houses, and then you walk through.
Yeah.
That thing, and walking up those stairs, and it's just, there's like I said before, we've covered it. There wasn't a football ground that I went to in the world that was like Highbury.
You can call us biased, but just because we're biased doesn't mean we're not telling the truth. Right?
Oh yeah, no, of course we're biased. Of course we're biased, and but the fact is, like you say, with the commissionaire and the marble halls, and the art deck, that art deck outside and in, just the clock. I mean, the North Bank roof was even special. The floodlights were different to anywhere else.
So different.
The band as well. I mean, there's no one else that had the band in the corner. And the band the band used to go around the pitch, and Alex Morgan, tossing the thing up, and all the North Bank, praying that he'd drop it, which he did one day. Whether he did it on purpose, I don't know, but he did. It was just, even the thing where, with the hooligans, they used to put the hooligans in the little cage back there that no other club did. And then everything about the place was different. You know, it was different to any other ground anywhere, and it will never be replaced in any part of football in any place of the world. And we're very, very lucky, you know, to have experienced all those years going to that amazing place. And it gives me, I'm breaking up here because we were very, very, very lucky. And I feel for the young, you know, the younger generation now that have got the Emirates and have never experienced Highbury, because there will never be a place like it in football.
I agree. I mean, I feel privileged to have gone there. Lucky, privileged. It was a fantastic place, and the memories and the feel, the whole thing was so good. And that's why I wanted to put this on, just to get out there, get it out my pores, if you like, because it's such an important. You've got to listen. We are biased, as we've said. Obviously, all football fans are biased, but I believe that our club has got the greatest history going.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic history. There's so many books written about us, and not only by Arsenal supporters, funnily enough, as I found out the other day, that not just Arsenal supporters write books about the Arsenal and Highbury. It's just the whole thing, the way football's gone. I mean, Herbert Chapman, what he wanted to do with the numbers on the back, he wanted a 45-minute clock. He changed the name from Gillespie Road to Arsenal. All these things, he moved football forward. I think we're the first club to have a televised league game or something. It might have been. I think against Sheffield United it was. All these things were first. So, we're and that's why I wanted to do this. I wanted to do it. I really
it's brilliant. And the thing, I said this today to somebody, you know, that I said I was doing this, about Highbury the Library. And I said, the only reason that place was called Highbury the Library is because library rhymes with Highbury.
Yes.
Because
yes.
The atmosphere in that place, 70% of the season was electric. You know, it really was, with the Clock End and the North Bank. It was a great atmosphere. But of course it rhymed with library, so it got that name. But it wasn't a library. It wasn't a library. It was a great atmosphere. Always was. In the 70s and everything, before they roofed the Clock End, obviously the atmosphere didn't come through them because there wasn't a roof.
No, that's right.
So Highbury is akin to the Lord. Yeah, exactly. It is the Lord's ground of cricket.
Good call, Neil. Good call.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Well, right, Russ. Thank you very much. I'm glad you came on. Fantastic. I just had to sit back and listen to you talk. It was brilliant. We could go on for a lot more, but I think, I'd like to go on, but I'm not going to, because I just would not stop. I would not stop. It's been brilliant. Thanks. I love you,
mate. There's not many people that just say they want to sit back and listen to me. I'm telling you. So I love you, mate.
Well, thanks for everything. Thanks for giving your time up, and we will speak soon. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Give us a like, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. All the best. Thanks, Russ. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Melvyn. Bye-bye.